It's an honor to be up here today as well to congratulate you all on this remarkable milestone. Almost 7 years ago today, I was sitting in a very similar room, also in the spot you're in, waiting for someone to call my name to come up here and receive a piece of paper that essentially would confirm all the hard work that I had done for the past 4 years. I was terrified and excited. In 2016, I graduated with a Bachelor in International Hospitality Management at what is said to be one of the best hospitality schools in the world. I had a pretty sweet job set up, so a lot of my friends, they were going to become consultants, or they were going to work in luxury brands. Some of them were even going to do their masters. Now, I had set up this job to go be a glorified dog walker. Yeah. I was going to work for a multimillionaire in Switzerland, and my job was essentially to take care of his estates. I would make sure his kids got to and from school, but my most important role was to make sure that his dog had the perfect boiled chicken for lunch and for dinner. It was great. So why did I do this job, you might ask? Well, for starters, I was a broke graduate, so I needed cash. But more importantly, I needed to save money to build. And now, what did I want to build? First, I'll go a bit more back in time. So growing up, I wanted to be a chef or own a restaurant. So I actually started my career as a cook. I started an apprenticeship here in Switzerland. And I quickly realized that I was not cut out to be a chef. I really loved cooking. I loved food, but it wasn't for me. So I combined my passion for food and business in my studies, where every chance I got, I would work in kitchens. I worked in a luxury hotel in Italy in the kitchen. I worked in ski huts in Switzerland in the kitchens. And during my work experience and education, I became more and more confronted with an unexposed issue in the hospitality industry. Kilo upon kilo of perfectly edible food is being thrown away every single day. Food waste from in-room dining, overproduction, food waste on the plates of students, on the plates of guests, food waste because we are blind, because we're lazy, or out of fear. Then towards the end of my studies, I went to Miami for 6 months. I did a 6-month internship there where we did the pre-opening of a luxury hotel and district, Faina. So I was there with one of my best friends who would then become the co-founder of Kitro. And every day we would ride our bike to and from work. And my friend at the time, she was working in event management, and this luxury hotel would throw these really extravagant events. So they would have asados, seafood, caviar, everything you can imagine, and in enormous quantities. So at the end of the event, we went there and we said, hey, there's a lot of leftover food. Can we take it and redistribute it in this park that we drive past with our bikes every day? Because there's a lot of homeless people. And very quickly they said, no, that's not possible. The liability is too high, just throw it away. Here it became clear that it's easier to ignore the problem and just throw it away and close the lid than deal with the reality. As was already highlighted, globally 1/3 of all the food produced is thrown away. It's contributing to 10% of the global greenhouse gases. And if we could just reduce 25% of the food waste that is being wasted today, we would have enough to feed everyone who is undernourished in the world. Of course, the reason for food waste varies from country to country, from transportation to end consumer, but across the globe, unnecessary resources are being wasted along the entire supply chain. In Switzerland, 330 kilos of food waste are being thrown away per person every year. That means each of us are throwing away more than 600 meals every year. It's about 600 francs as well that we're throwing into the trash, so that's also a monetary value. But you can see that the numbers are quite staggering. In the hospitality industry, 20% of all the food that we'll purchase will end up being thrown away. And in countries like Dubai, 50% of the food that is placed on a buffet will be thrown out. This means daily thousands of meals are tossed out without a second thought. Seeing how much food is being wasted in the hospitality industry and the lack of data around the issue triggered my best friend and I to look at a solution that could exist to solve the problem. And we decided to do what any hospitality student is learned to do. We set out with the intention to build a high-tech solution that leveraged artificial intelligence to tackle the problem. So we graduated, We took jobs as glorified dog walkers or as bartenders, saving all the money we had to build our idea and start tinkering away at a concept to combat food waste. We had no idea how to build a company, how to build a solution, or if it would work, so we started where we knew best. We basically started making really, really pretty designed A4 pieces of paper. We started presenting the story, and we started talking to potential customers to validate the problem of food waste and the need to address the solution. Contacting everyone we knew in the industry, we tried to schedule coffees to pitch them the idea. And in February 2017, we had the opportunity to go to a Holy Cow pre-opening event of the restaurant, where we brought our very beautiful A4 piece of paper. At the time, we called it our fact sheet. And this fact sheet essentially laid out everything we were going to do with Kitro. So it showed how the solution would work. It showed an automatic detection of food waste. It showed an installation that was seamless. We presented it to the head of operations, and by the end of the meeting, he said, okay, this sounds great. It's February now, you can install it in April. We were on cloud nine. We're like, we just made it, awesome. We got our first customer. We walked out, we went, grabbed a beer, and then we realized we actually had to build this thing that we had promised on this A4 fact sheet. So the next day, or that week, we quit our jobs and we started building Kitro. Today, we operate in more than 10 countries. We have raised millions in funds, and we've saved hundreds of thousands of meals from being wasted. So how does it work? Essentially, we're tracking all the food that is thrown into trash bins. We built a hardware device that is placed in the kitchen and the dishwashing areas, and it's essentially a scale. You put your trash bin on top, and above it is a camera. Every time you throw something into the trash bin, the weight is captured, an image, and the time. And then we use image processing, machine learning to analyze each image to identify what food item has been thrown away, why is it occurring, and what actions can be taken to reduce this food waste in the future. Based on visual recognition, we can distinguish whether it was a carrot or a carrot peel, and we can really show them, based on data and patterns in their trash bin, why food waste is occurring and how to change their operations to avoid it in the future. With our data, food waste is being reduced by 60% in properties. It's saving other valuable resources such as time, money, but most importantly, food. And we have properties that save more than 13,000 meals every year from being wasted. Our goal is to save 80 million meals in the next 4 years. And at Kitro, we believe that in order to achieve long-term sustainable development, data-driven actions and continuous measurements will become more and more important and more critical across all industries. It is through data and measurement that we'll be able to truly benchmark companies and even countries to understand the practices that work best, how we can optimize operations, and set expectations and standards to reach our goals. The United Nations set the 12.3 goal to halve food waste by 2030. It's an ambitious goal, an admirable goal, but also you have to think, how are we going to determine in 2030 if we've reached this goal if we're not properly measuring? With Kitro, we are filling that gap to ensure long-term sustainable food waste data is collected and reductions are achieved. So it's been over 6 years now that I've committed myself to building Kitro, and there have been many ups and downs, but I wouldn't change the experience. I would have never guessed that we made it so far, and now that we've built it, I can not imagine having done anything else. But I thought I'd leave 3 key learnings with you today. Excuse me. So your valedictorian, he already highlighted one of them, but I wanted to reiterate again that it's okay not to know, and actually, nobody really knows. It took me a while to come to this realization that nobody knows what they're doing in life. Everybody is just making it up day by day, with the best available data on hand. But just take it day by day, ask for help, and don't expect everything to even have an answer. You'll learn along the way, but more often than not, you'll just have to try and be ready to grow. The next point is know your values. Write down for you what values are important for you. I have 6. It's forward thinking, quality, candor, resource efficiency, impact, and enjoy the ride. For everyone, they will be different. These are the values that you appreciate, that you would like to already live by, and that you embody. Keep these values close to you and use them to make decisions. They should essentially act as your compass. We have been challenged many times at Kitro on this and never regret our decisions when it is led by our values and not by fear. And related to this, I would encourage you to follow your passion and not your CV. Find something you truly believe in, something you want to have an impact on, and go for it. If you love what you do, you'll excel at it, and it will reflect in your work. Find work where you can live your values, and I don't think you'll regret it. It doesn't always have to be fancy titles or names either. I essentially look in trash bins every day. My mom used to joke that if I didn't clean my room, I might end up as a garbage collector. Well, look at me now. I'm essentially a trash bin paparazzi with one of the largest food waste data sets in the world. No, but this is all to say that you never know what is going to capture your passion, and it doesn't have to be glamorous. The last one is that someone has to make it, so why not you? I tell myself this often, is that really there has to be someone who is going to fill this role. Someone has to be the next president, the next inventor, or the next one to walk on the moon. So why shouldn't it be you? At some point in all successors' life, I'm sure they have wondered, how will this work out? Will I make it, and what am I doing? Maybe you don't have as many cards stacked in your favor, but you'll never know unless you try. Someone has to do it, and right now your chances are as good as anyone else's, so why not you? So know your value, know it's okay not to know, and go for it, because you have as much chance to be the one who succeeds as anyone else. And if you go for something you truly believe in, you will be successful. To close, I just have a few final words to jump back to the global issue of food waste. In order to achieve a circular economy and really maximize impact, we need a shift in mindset of every individual. Already now, hotels, restaurants, canteens are making strides to mitigate their food waste. But there is a fear of disappointing the guests by offering smaller portion size. A fear that if they remove the shrimp from the buffet, there will be complaints. Or that if they only serve 2 types of bread, you might not have all the bread you want. Therefore, on an individual level, every one of us, it is important that we start to think twice about the valuable resources we are wasting and how our expectations are contributing to waste. Let's start to think twice before we throw a day-old yogurt away. Let us think twice before we expect a buffet to be full 5 minutes before it closes. Let's think twice before we leave half a meal on our plate. Let's think twice before we throw our valuable resources to waste. By taking individual steps and communicating our personal desire for sustainable actions, the speed at which we move towards reducing waste will be accelerated. So now, you're no longer students, you're graduates. But more importantly, you're contributors of how the future will be shaped. I hope you go out into the real world, knowing your potential, knowing your values, and pushing to make a positive impact. Someone has to do it, so why not you? Thank you.